Your body was damaged. We couldn't save it. Only your brain survived. We made you a new body, a synthetic shell.
Ghost in a Shell is a cautionary tale about technology and our future. It's one of the most important pieces of literature out of Japan, written by Mr. Masamune, and it deals with very interesting issues that are current to our times.
The journey to find one's true identity, the feeling of isolation as part of the human experience, and then the subsequent connectivity that we all share in unexpected ways. These kind of themes are always relevant.
We're taking something that a lot of people have identified with. This is a part of their culture and their history. And now with our version, 20 years later, we're trying to honor it.
As a filmmaker, it's great to start from something that inspires you, and so many of those images were a great cornerstone for us taking on that legacy, and I think to see that world imagined is pretty spectacular, and I think we've created a universe that hopefully people haven't seen before.
Ghost in a Shell has been in the making for probably 9 years, and it took a while to develop it. We went through painstaking efforts to make sure that we pay homage to this very important piece of literature. None of it could have happened without tremendous passion by Rupert Sanders, our director.
I wanted to return to the world of Ghost in the Shell a bit more. The anime was something that, when I first saw it, really kind of caught my imagination and inspired me. And so I took a lot of stills from the original, innocent, standalone complex, and I started to kind of collage a story and do it like a graphic novel. And it very clearly laid out the storyline and the type of story in the world and the visual aesthetic of it.
Rupert is really a visionary, and when he sent me his, all the packages of everything that he was putting together for this, that's really what cinched the deal for me. It was like, wow, this guy has completely created not only an homage to the manga, to the anime, for the fans, but has put his thumbprints all over this project.
Scarlett and I had a lot of conversations about how much of her is robotic versus how much of her is human. How do those behaviors manifest themselves, and how does she try to get back to that humanity? And Scarlett did bring so much to it. She's really inhabited the role and brought a childlike quality to it, which I think is very important.
Everyone around me seems to fit. They seem connected to something I'm not.
Rupert and I talked a lot about the quest for self-identity. Are you a product of where you come from? Is that what makes you you? If not, then what does? And that journey was really exciting for me to kind of pull apart, and that's where the meeting of the minds was for us.
There's always this thick fog over my memory, and I can't see through it.
You're lucky. Every single day I get screwed by my memories. It's better to be pure. Like you.
We luckily found Pilu Asbeck, and when I first sat down with him, I knew he was Batu. He's kind of big and bear-like, and he's got this very gentle sense of humor to him and sensitivity that I really felt Batu had. And Scarlett and he just found each other so quickly. It's a very beautiful relationship.
I don't know who to trust anymore.
You trust me, right? The manga is like a Bible, of course, for me, for my character. I'm going back to who is he, where is he from, and what does he want? And for me, Batu is a very warm-felt guy and a very sweet guy. He's loyal, trustworthy, and he likes beer and pizza. You can actually almost say that he would be your best friend if he was real. But that's my job to do that.
Tell me who you are.
In this life, my name is Kuze.
Michael's actually someone I've known for many years as a friend, and he came fully immersed. I mean, he'd eaten raw food for 3 months. He'd been doing boxing and Pilates every day, so he was whippet thin. And then he did a lot of painting, and painting after painting after painting about Kuze, and he had all these notebooks, and, you know, he really inhabited that character.
I was lying on a table, listening to doctors talk about how my mind had not meshed with the shell.
I realized that when you're developing a character for sci-fi, it's kind of like an open door. I mean, you can do anything, so there's a lot of variables. With Kuze, I worked a lot on his voice, how he would speak.
We will evolve beyond them.
I worked a lot on how he would move, so I made some rules about the way he could move.
They tried to kill me first.
And certainly his backstory.
It is self-defense, defense of self.
You know, I wrote pages and pages and pages of backstory because he was such a strange character.
Do you see it?
I think he is sort of viewed upon as the villain in the first half of the movie and maybe less in the second half.
Try and understand your importance, Mary.
Oulette was originally written as a man,
You're what everyone will become one day.
and when we were in casting, I was like, I don't think it should be a man. I think there should be a maternal side to Major, and so I adapted her again as a woman, and then Juliette was the first person I thought of for the role because I think she's such an emotional actress, and I felt we really needed someone to be the emotional side of the Major.
She's more than human and more than AI.
First of all, when I read the script, the first time I didn't understand anything because they're using code terms and it's really a world in a world. It's like when you read Shakespeare for the first time, you don't understand anything because it's really a game of codes. But when you have the codes, when you understand, you know, some of the words and the references of the world of computers, then it becomes fun. It becomes, okay, I get it. You know, you're inside of the world. You're a part of it.
旧家の一員としてわしにはお前への責任がある。
Takeshi Kitano plays Aramaki, who's the head of Section 9.
お前はただの武器じゃない。お前には魂、ゴーストがある。
Who, much like Juliette as an actor, I've grown up admiring so many of his films as an actor and a director. And so when I was first talking about Ghost in the Shell, he was one of the first people I wanted to bring into the project.
この原作はかなり評判になった原作で、アニメはやってるけども、実際の映像を映画で作るっていうことに対しては、自分の友達もみんな期待してて、まさか俺だと思わなかったっていうのがあって、だけど決まった瞬間にみんな驚いてたね。
If you look at this cast, I think you'll feel that we are doing anything in our power to show our love and respect to this wonderful manga, but really in a unique way.
Pretty much everything was shot in Stone Street Studios in Wellington, New Zealand, which was built by Peter Jackson as he did The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It's quite cleverly set up.
Because we did have some success at the end of last week where one of the team managed to extract the whole skeleton and get it not to a printable level, but close.
Our relationship with New Zealand in this movie started with Richard Taylor and what a workshop. His design approach, his love of anime meshed in quite naturally with Rupert's ambitions for what this movie was going to be.
She feels somehow too harsh and too almost puppet-like. Working with the production designer Jan and the art director Richard, and of course under the very watchful and visionary eye of Rupert, we had the great fortune of being there right at the very beginning to offer concept art and specific design for so much of the film.
In filmmaking, you do touch technology, science, and art, and he's one of the people who kind of crosses all of those. And it just seemed like he was someone I really wanted to be involved with and have his team work on the film. This is all kind of fashion, I think. This is like, how do I, with new technology? So we developed this brain trust of 8 to 12 guys and girls who were the conceptors, along with my 3 guys here, Vitaly Bulgarov, Maciej Kuchara, and Ash Thorpe. And we had these daily meetings where we'd throw work on the wall and we'd have a magic marker and we'd start to draw and talk about and understand parts of the world. And then you end up from reams of images on walls to just a simple strip that says, okay, we're going to build that, and that.
Due to the vast quantity of work, it's been a very collaborative process with the art department, the props department, costuming, makeup, where everyone has done our bits to bring everything together, and incredibly complex prosthetics, integrating the robotics of cyber enhancements and the human augmentation prosthetic makeups, all put together by Jason Doherty and Kim Doherty and their team in the workshop. Lots of specialty costuming components that we've had the great pleasure to work with Kurt and Bart, the two costume designers on the film.
One of the main costumes we had to do was the thermoptic suit for Major. We worked with Weta to design and execute this costume.
I think what was super cool about the suit was developing the materials that it was made out of, because it was able to have some translucency, which was really important. And also just we wanted it to look like the material it was made out of would actually allow it to perform the function.
The thermoptic suit is sort of like a second skin, and it allows her to become invisible. But it's not like a super suit or something like that. It's just something that allows her to fight under the radar.
Everything has to be designed, from the buttons on the suits to the skyscrapers in the skies. I've got a great concept designer called Ash Thorpe who did a lot of the building design for us. We wanted to have something tactile in the city that when you moved past them, you really felt that they weren't just CG. So we built 12 of these big, very intricate skyscrapers that were illuminated inside. The world building, the sologram, something that I coined the phrase to create these solid holograms that exist in the cityscape. So all of those had to be shot and designed.
We employed the services of Digital Air, a company out of Switzerland that brought in a 80-camera array, and they created 3D virtual objects, much like holograms. So you can completely walk around them, and they're in motion. So when you see these characters on the buildings, they're not animated. These are real action characters that make it look like advertising billboards of the 21st century.
And we built these things called ghost cams, which are these long kind of journeys through the cities, and they're really the way you see the world.
I didn't want just a floating camera that showed itself off. I was interested in exploring the city and ending in something. So the first one that you see is when the Major's on the rooftop, and we travel, through the city, through the canyons of Hong Kong. We rise up over the hotel, and we drive into her back, and then we wrap around and we reveal her face for the first time as the Major.
This is Major. I'm on site.
Hey guys, everybody here, just clear out for this one so we can see what we've got.
So I think you just try and design your best opening, because you know people are going to either get hooked in early on or they're not.
Action!
And I think it's a good opening because it's iconic to the Ghost in the Shell franchise. And you come into an environment, a strange banquet hall with illuminated tatami mattings, and Major's on the roof, but she's not in action yet. A lot of the strands are starting to pull together in it.
Gentlemen, excuse me, I think you have the wrong...
Hallway, 6 men, shots fired. I'm going in.
And it's just a good way to show off Major and show what she's capable of in a visually arresting and kind of action-packed way.
It wouldn't be Ghost in the Shell without the crazy fight sequences and gunplay.
Okay, great. Cut it.
Cut in there.
Got in there. Got in there.
Every panel on this table is replaced with a special effect panel that can have squibs, and so there can be like little bullet hits. And all the walls have got special effect replacement walls too, so it's like a very heavy special effects set.
Rupert called me in. By that stage, he'd had a lot of weapon designs done. I had to go through with him from an armourer's perspective of what would physically work from the designs, because we have to take a base weapon and then clad it to make it work. So I took his designs, worked with him on that, showing him what would work and what wouldn't work, and try and make it as close to the design as possible.
Guns! Lots of guns!
There was little things that as a fan I was obsessed with, like the Uzis coming out of briefcases that drop away, just leaving the handle of the gun.
Major has a thermoptic pistol, which we created to go along with her thermoptic look. based around a Glock 17 9mm pistol, and that's the one that turns invisible as she goes invisible.
3, 2, 1, go!
The rules of Ghost in the Shell are very different from a contemporary action piece. First of all, the physical bodies of our characters, especially Major, can do so much more. She can run faster than we can, jump higher, fight better, all of those things, but it's not in a superhero sense.
Okay, reset.
Guy Norris is famously known for his work on Mad Max, but he's also got a good group of martial artists who helped choreograph the action sequences.
Feeling good today?
Action!
He's very good at wire work, Guy, and kind of taking gravity away.
Perfect. And frame advance? What I really like to do in all the films I'm involved in is to put the actor as front and centre in the action as we possibly can.
No!
In our case, we were very fortunate to have Scarlett 6 months out from shooting.
Scarlett underplays her abilities a lot. She is way more physical than we imagined she would be. So we've been able to use her a lot in her own action sequences.
Did my foot not plant in the right spot?
She has a work ethic second to none. And she's so hard on herself she can't get it the first time. I said, Scott, I've been doing this 50 years and I'm still learning.
Like that kind of posture?
That is good.
Okay.
And she'll do those extra 20 to 30 reps because she's still after that excellence.
Firing guns, shooting people. Standard day in the office, really.
Major, this way.
I think the great thing for me about the film visually is that every scene you go to somewhere different. You never kind of stay in a world you're familiar with. It keeps changing.
It's a city that has a wide variety of cultures. And the Yakuza bar was a place to reflect that. And we needed a really diverse-looking cast, and we found it all here in New Zealand.
Because the Yakuza bar is a very big scene with a lot of people in it. So I get my character, Tony, get lots of minions. He's got a whole gang of people who are enhanced and they're looking freaky and cool.
My friend had some mech work done here, industry stuff.
We don't do make work here.
Nightclub scenes are hard to do. You've got to create something that's a bit more distinct and unique. So we had this very kind of like 80s neo-romantic feel in there.
I'm in.
We're shooting the private room fight, which is this amazing routine that goes for nearly a minute while she's entirely handcuffed to the dance pole.
I wasn't built to dance.
See that?
See, get the jowls. I didn't have to do anything.
This fight we're doing is in this little Yakuza bar, this pole fight, we like to call it, against some Yakuzas. She's doing 100% of that fight.
Do I kick?
Yeah.
Down.
Yeah.
Here, turn. Wow.
And
Then I have to go to the side.
Remember back,
I
and
did
you got
that.
to move your left foot and then your right foot.
We've got this. We've been practicing for months.
Because the physicality is such an important part of this character, I've been really married to the idea of being able to do everything. And I feel that I now have a set of skills for life.
We're just saying that she's that one level above what humans are capable of. But it's not a superhero character that she can jump 30, 40 or 50 feet, but she might be able to jump 6 to 8 feet. So then that wire work just actually gives us that little bit more punch. You want to see it and almost go, hey, a person could actually do that if they were strong, fast and flexible enough.
I thought it would be funny if I could do all of my stunts myself. And up until now, I've done it. So that's been pretty awesome. I'm very fast. I have a big scene in the middle of the film where I'm fighting in a bar. I must admit I was a little bit afraid sometimes.
Billy and Tony.
We've made shotgun for Batu, based around a cryo precision shotgun. It's a prototype shotgun that we've worked on a little bit just to give it that slightly more futuristic feel.
We had some difficulties with the guns sometimes, which is very frustrating. But I was told after 2 days of working, don't stop the take just because the gun is jamming. But that was my biggest note so far for myself, was just like, keep working. Don't yell cut yourself. Let the director do that.
Cutting there. Go again, please. Ready, and action.
Today, we're in Wellington, but in the movie, when you see it, we're going to be in Hong Kong. Our joke today is we're in Wellington, and we're shooting something that is very iconic from the anime and from the manga. And this is the sequence where the creator of the Major, played by Julia Binoche, she's been taken hostage, and they have to rescue her.
They were very worried about the accident, the car being reversed and all that I would maybe say, no, I don't want to do anything. But I like those kind of things, you know, I like taking part of the action.
The trash truck exterior was done in Wellington, where we used as much of Wellington as we could, and we augmented digitally with set extension.
What visual effects will do is take anything from the street level, and then we're doing vertical set extensions. But it was great that Wellington let us own that street, so we were able to get what we needed.
I think if there's one sequence that is going to connect with everybody, it's the Skinny Man fight. That's what everyone, I think, is very attuned to in the anime. And so what we do is work very hard to take that to a higher level.
Action!
The fight with Skinny Man was really difficult because that was one of the very, very, very few entirely green screen scenes. So it was very hard cutting that to imagine how that was going to be, because you just had people on wires against this green screen in a little tiny paddling pool.
We shot the sequence with Major, with the Skinny Man, and then we just basically erased Major from it and just used kind of disturbance in place, because you want to get a feeling that she's there, but you don't want her to be completely invisible. He knows there's something out there, he doesn't know what or where she is, so he's firing wildly at her. So it's kind of, there's a nice cat and mouse, she kind of toys with him.
When you break it down, there's really 3 or 4 moves that Major does on the Skinny Man, and so we were able to use a lot of elaborate wire work just to give it a different physicality to it.
The stunts were incredible. The stunt team here, Guy Norris and his team, are incredibly skilled and experienced and very giving in their time and patience. And they took me through the stages and started me off small and worked me up into some of the biggest stunts in the film.
Go!
Yeah. Guy Norris, he was very good at being able to spin him and hold him in the air and make the landings look brutal. And train Scarlett for the fight, and she's very good in that. When she comes and bears down on him and punches him on the first take, she probably punched him like 8 to 12 times. People were rushing in after she stepped away from him because they thought that she had actually knocked him out. She's just really good at pulling punches. She really sells it.
There's a central location for the end of the film, a big action sequence that's in the anime with a big tank battle. And we were able to build this very unique location that we found in Hong Kong.
It's a circular tramway plaza in Hong Kong. We scouted that, we took accurate measurements, and we recreated it on the back lot, at least a good segment of it. And we've been filming out there for weeks for what promises to be a spectacular finale action sequence.
There's a really nice kind of knitting of special effects, visual effects, prosthetics, design, wardrobe. That's to me when filmmaking becomes its most exciting, because you're immersed in the world personally, so you can understand how you want to see it.
3, 2, 1, go!
When you're just in a green room with a character jumping over obstacles, I find it very hard to become emotionally engaged in that. I like to exist in that world as much as possible.
Action!
Cut! Very good, lads.
Her rage in that scene is a rage against everybody who's ever done her wrong in a weird way. You know, she's fighting the tank, but she's fighting Hanka, she's fighting Cutter, she's fighting Lilette. Which ultimately becomes self-destructive in the process of trying to stop this thing. That's a very powerful moment, I think, when her anger and rage are such that she pulls her own body apart, trying to express herself.
It's been exhausting and really empowering to be able to be as physical and able as I have been on this film. I've been able to really handle the weapons, complete every fight, do all the wire work, and, you know, really with the support of the stunt team guiding me, it's really been something else.
Great, cut it there. That was good, Scarlett. It was hard work. We'd done a lot of night shoots on the tank battle in Wellington, and then we ended up, you know, the next day flying to Hong Kong and starting to literally plunge straight into night shoots there.
Welcome to the wonderful city of Hong Kong, which for me as an actor is just incredible, coming out, walking among people and shooting these scenes. It seems a little chaotic, and it is a little chaotic, but it's good fun and it's just wonderful because this setting gives us so much creativity for the film.
Being here in Hong Kong itself, which is the perfect mix of modern technology and traditional architecture, it's been amazing. And I think Mamoru Oshii, who directed the original Ghost in the Shell movie, had said some of the scenes were inspired by the Hong Kong landscape. So just being here, you feel like being part of a very authentic experience.
Oshii, who made the anime, was with us in Hong Kong. It was good for him just to kind of come and meet us. We wanted to meet with him.
スカーレット・ヨハンセンの元子を僕が想像した以上に役になってると思う。パートに期待するのはね、まあ僕や神山が作った作品にこだわる必要ないと思う。彼のそのゴースト・イン・ザ・シェルを完成させてほしいというようなことは言ったんだけどね。
Tell him this is justice. It's what I was built for.
But, you know, obviously when you look at a lot of the key frames from the manga going into the anime, going into what we're doing, there's a very interesting progression, and there's scenes that I think of, because of the power of what Shiro created originally, have stayed throughout the versions of it, and I feel we're just another part of the legacy.
I like that. I like that we are standing on the shoulders of the creators of Ghost in the Shell. It's definitely for me a dream coming true.
This experience has been like nothing else I've ever had before. It's really been all-encompassing, and I feel I've taken on this character in a way that was very unexpected. I hope the audience shares the compassion that I have for this character, and I hope they willingly go on this ride with me, because it's definitely a ride, for sure.
My name is Major, and I give my consent.